Now, as you probably all are aware, Tomahawk are the fabulous agency that we have worked with to redevelop and launch our new website. And I still call it our new website, although we have actually been live on the 8th of July. It was 1 year that we've been live with our new site. So not so new anymore, but still learning every day and still evolving, which is truly exciting. So yeah, welcome to Renee and Grant. I've invited them along today because, as we all know with websites, it's a moving beast, and very, very important that we all understand the SEO side of things on the site. We have an unusual website with BEIA because we have up to 450 of you that have access to the site to update your content. So obviously we want everyone to be as educated as possible about the type of wording, keyword searches, etc., and what you can do to actually really enhance that content on a site like ours. So I think without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Renee, who's going to share a presentation. You can please feel welcome to put your questions in the chat, but we will also have a bit of a Q&A at the end of the session if anyone's got anything we can discuss online as well. Plus, of course, we're always here to help if you've got any questions after the webinar as well. So yeah, we will just keep talking. So over to you, Renee. Thank you so much.
Love it. Thank you. Well, first of all, huge thank you to Nikki and the BEIA team for inviting us along to join you all on this lovely Thursday morning. It always feels a little bit different doing webinars nowadays because I'm conscious that we're actually tuning into people's homes. It feels a bit more intimate. So quirky, but yeah. Huge thank you to everyone who's joined, and obviously anyone who's listening to this recording either in their car or commuting to the gym or something exciting. Hi, and thanks for joining along. I'd also like to introduce Grant, who is one of our T-Hawks. He's actually co-hosting with me today, and we're going to talk through some tips and tricks around optimizing your listing within the BEIA environment, but we're also going to take it a little bit further so that you can understand the wider scope of SEO, search engine optimization, and what else you can be doing in the online environment to really help support it, or to support your brand. So we're going to cover 5 different areas. Some of them will be directly related to the BEIA website. Some of them will be peripheral, kind of nice to have around the outside. But overall, it's going to support the industry, which is a key part of obviously what we're all here to do. I'm conscious that everyone's used Zoom before. However, we do encourage questions, like Nikki said, questions and comments. And we are going to ask you some questions as well throughout the session. So I'd love for you to jump into the chat, become familiar with what the landscape that you're sitting in, and let us know what your role is within your company. Are you sitting more in the sales side? Do you sit across the marketing side? Do you wear multiple hats? Are you the owner? It would be good to understand who we've got in the room, and get a feel for whether it's something that you're going to be able to action yourself, or whether you're actually going to be having this conversation with someone else in the team. So let us know what your role within the company is. Whilst you do that, I'm going to share my screen. I can't see anything coming through on the chat. Can someone let me know they know? Oh, yep, there we go. I was going to say they know where to find it, but perfect. Right. Got some coming through. Fantastic. So like I said, as and when questions come up throughout the session, please feel free to pop them in. Grant and I will do our best to answer them either on the fly or at the end during the Q&A session. And anything that isn't answered, we will work with Nikki, Lorik, and the team to write up some little answers that they can share with you all. So let's kick off. I'm going to hand over to you, Grant, if I can change the slides, which... Oh, now it's going way too quickly. Change the slides. Oh. So over to you, Grant, to talk us through unlocking your BEIA listing.
Thank you very much. I have to say it's been a pleasure working with Nikki and Lorik on the website for, Nikki, 2.5 years, I think, since we had initial conversations, and it's come a long way, but things are never constant, and especially in the SEO world, you've got to be hands-on. So it's really important to kind of think about how you manage your presence on the BEIA site, your own branded site, or the pages that you're responsible for on your site. And some of this information will be relevant to your listing. Some of it will also flow into your business as usual. And you may not be responsible for that yourself, but certainly knowing who to partner with in your business to help with your SEO is incredibly important. So to kick it off, we're going to just talk about your listing on the BEIA site. Most importantly, completeness and consistency is key. I'm going to start off first with NAP, N-A-P. So we're talking about your name or business name, address and phone number, and ensuring that they're identical across all of your online profiles. So that's your website, your Google business profile, and your BEIA listing. What happens is the Google search engines actually look at all of these listings and they like to see the same information and then they verify it in multiple places. This gives the search engine confidence in terms of the content that they're viewing and working with. It avoids confusion for the people that are actually looking at the BEIA site, at your site, perhaps even an RTO site. It also can, if the information isn't aligned or isn't the same, it can cause some issues with your ranking and by actually pushing you lower in the SEO scores. So just to recap there, name, address, and phone number, consistency is king. The second piece here, and this is one that I know Nikki knows it gets under my skin a little bit, is your descriptions on the website. We've got 450 partners that BEIA work with. That's 450 pieces of content that are on the website. But the description of your business, and I look at many and I consider them subpar, especially in the sense of it doesn't contain SEO keywords that you should have in there that help you rank in your search results. It also doesn't cover a lot of the meeting and event key information in your description. It talks about your business and your lovely location, and you don't have information on perhaps meeting rooms, briefly on capacity or something that's unique to your business. People do put features in there like free Wi-Fi, but that we've gone beyond free Wi-Fi as being an absolute slam dunk of actually securing an event. So I'd really encourage you to go and have a look at your listing and your descriptions, but also working with the team members in your business to put some SEO keywords into those descriptions. Secondly, leverage all the listing features. And as Nikki said before, you can log in. You have obviously various levels of listing that are on the website and the features that can be unlocked. Go and have a look at those and make sure that you've got the right description, as I said before. Great high resolution images that are recent, that aren't 5 years old. Is the contact information up to date? Are the links to your social media profiles and your website going to the right pages? What about the what's nearby information and meeting room configurations and seating capabilities, etc.? The website's been alive for a year. I think it's time that everyone went back and had a look at their listing. The second is choose the right business activity that you're attached to. Things change in business. And it's important to make sure that when you've actually set up your listing, that you have the relevant category attached to your listing, and that also the keywords describe the category that you're in within your description. And I'm going to put a bit of a plug in here for Nikki as well. If you don't think your listing has enough visibility on the website, talk to Nikki about an upgrade. You'll see there's obviously sets of tiles there for all of the listings, from small square boxes to a larger presence. It's a little bit different for regions who have sort of like potentially full page listings and part pages thereof. But if you want to actually unlock more visibility, have a chat to Nikki. And lastly on this topic, BEIA's domain authority. BEIA, excuse me, are the trusted and authoritative domain in this sector for New Zealand. It's important that the website URL on your listing, which is actually classed as a backlink, is up to date and correct. This actually gives the listing and the BEIA website more authority in the SEO space. What I do see, and I've seen a couple when I checked some listings yesterday, is I click on the website link it goes to either, if you're a hotel, the hotel homepage. It doesn't even go to the conference and events page. I saw a hotel that is part of a larger chain. It went to the mother brand page. It didn't actually go to the conference and events or meetings page. So it's really important, and think that BEIA is doing the hard work to attract potential planners to your region or to your property or to your facility, that when they do go from the BEIA site to your business, they're going into the page that they want to know about best. They don't want to see a homepage about a hotel and some beautiful images of a room, etc., in a restaurant. They want to get into the meat, which is the meetings, conference, events page.
Yeah, the key is we're going to move them down the funnel. And by sending them to your homepage, you've bumped them back up to the top of the funnel, and you're making them work to move back down the funnel.
Yeah. So basically, it's helping grease the wheels and getting them down to the right area that we need most. First question, and please pop this into the chat. Who on the call here has actually gone and reviewed their BEIA listing in the last 90 days and made an update? Anyone?
While you're popping notes in there, and I love that the first one was yes, so
Great.
Amazing.
Well, hat tip to you.
100%. Well, there's a few. This is great.
Excellent.
In the process, love it. While you're popping that in there, I'll just recap on something that we often reference when talking to people around SEO, is that we're trying to please 3 people when working in the SEO space. And in no particular order, because you'll understand why I say that shortly. One is your brand, one is the user, and one is Google. And we often forget that we're not going to be able to please all of them at once at the same time to the same level. So sometimes you do have to compromise and say, okay, in this instance, the description on my BIA listing, for example, might not be as on brand as I'd like, but from a Google perspective, actually, I need to make sure that there are these keywords in here to please Google. One of the things that we often joke about is that around your board table, you should have a seat and there should be a name on there and it should say Google, because they play such a key part in our business success. If you're interested and want to geek out more and understand the background and the history of Google, a lot of our team have actually just listened to the Acquired podcast about Google, and it's fascinating. It's part 1, it's about 3 hours, so it's a lengthy one, but it actually, for me, gave me some really interesting insight into the history and from an SEO perspective, why things are the way they are. Again, very much if you want to geek out, but it's always important, those 3 people, your brand, the user, and Google, always need to be front and center when you're thinking about the content that you're putting out to the world in the digital landscape.
And actually, Renee, just on that, you put it out to the world, but you need to keep going and checking it constantly and have a process
100%.
to actually go and manage and optimize. So, working with BEIA and other clients, we actually, for some, do monthly optimization around SEO. Some people do quarterly optimization around SEO. Think of it as an living, breathing element in your marketing mix. And the other challenge that comes across with SEO is Google do algorithm updates, and actually we'll talk about some changes they've done recently, and they've done one major one in the last few weeks. The algorithms constantly get updated, so the work you did 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago could be negated a little bit in your actual rankings, because Google, they don't tell you they've made changes. Generally, we discover them, and then our team actually go and look and scour forums and see feedbacks from other experts that actually say, yes, there's been a change, and this is what you need to kind of do to work with the change. So as much as Google's, they're clever in that way, but SEOs are very much a hands-on element in your marketing mix. So whether you update rates, whether you update brochures, all of those things that happen in your world, SEO needs to be something that's diarized or actioned on a regular time frame.
Yeah, great shout. Cool. So if we were to take a step, now I And here we go. No, it's done it now again. Here we go. Wow. If we were to take a step to the side and look at one key element of your listing, and that is the imagery that you have in here. So all of the imagery across any website, be it the BEIA website, be it your own website, should have alt text. And it's very common, and some of you may laugh when I hear I say this, but it's very common for people to upload images to their website and it will be room 123 or IMG 4792 86497. What on earth does that mean? And the reason why we've popped here that alt text is the unsung hero for SEO and accessibility, again, thinking of your audience. Often people are looking at these websites from a range of different channels. One thing to keep in mind is some people are using visual readers or screen readers. Sometimes images don't load. I mean, technology does have glitches every now and then. And so when they don't load or they're using a visual reader, the alt text is going to be what comes up front and center. And like I say, image 123 or room 123 does not make any sense at all. So it's a written description of what you can see in the image. It's as simple as that. It also helps when you're filing and saving images, and also future-proofing for future team members who come on board to name them as per what the image is of. Some great things to keep in mind is that when you're sharing those images with the team at BEIA, again, BEIA don't work in your business, so therefore room 123 does not mean anything to them. So when they're working on the website from an alt text perspective, be it you've uploaded the images or you've asked them to do that on your behalf, they're not going to be able to really optimize the website to its full potential with room 123. So a great example could be that it's a spacious queen room with lakefront views at Lakes Retreat Hotel in Queenstown. I obviously made all of that up, but it's that sort of detail that you're wanting to go into. It also helps when people are actively searching on Google and then switch from a text-based search to an image-based search. So keeping in mind that the landscape we're in, events and planning events, and is a very visual thing. So people often want to see what it is that they're looking to explore before they engage further. So imagery does play a really strong part in what you're doing. Google obviously crawls all of this information. So it does help from a search perspective and an image perspective. And it's not too tricky to do. It's also a nice little hack that you can take advantage of that not everyone is doing. So if your comp set's not doing this and you are, it just again elevates you and gives you a little bit of a step up. Hands up if you are guilty of having image 123 or room 123. Or pop in the chat because I can't see your hands.
My guess is people may not actually know, and that's okay, but it's a good takeaway to go and actually have a look. But knowing the SEO reports and the exercises that we've been doing for Nikki and team, I would say the majority don't have their, because we see that flagged in some of the audits that we do for the EIA, Renee. So yeah, good takeaway for everyone.
Definitely. It is one of those pesky jobs that takes time, and you've actually got to sit down and go through them. Like I said, future self will thank you, because I've been guilty of this. I've done a photo shoot when I used to be hotel side. We'd get a beautiful suite of images, and then I'd go back 6 months later and think, okay, I know this is the superior room, or I moved into a different role. Someone else came into that role and they would constantly be asking, is this the superior room? Is this the standard room? Is this conference room? So it really does future-proof from a bigger business perspective as well. Yeah, that is alt text and how we can make sure that we're using the visual elements of the website to support with SEO and accessibility. Grant, over to you about this new unexpected friendship.
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone's aware, but in June of this year, Google and Instagram became frenemies, let's call them. So social's not really been known as much of a boost within SEO. But what has happened is Instagram's gradually expanding a policy that allows Google to index public posts and reels from accounts that meet certain criteria. So the account holder's over 18, it's a like certified business, content is uploaded after the 1st of January 2020. There's a few checks and balances go in there, but this will now be a new discovery channel. So again, thinking broad instead of just like, we just talk about traditional images and videos that go on the BEIA side or your own website, we now need to think about social and how social plays a really important element in SEO. So this social content and from Instagram can now actually appear directly in Google search results. It's a new way for customers to find you. So instead of just searching on Instagram, and with some people do that, they can actually find this Instagram content within Google. So, you know, without banging on, and we've talked about this in the industry for such a long time, as content remains king. It never goes away. And this is just another, again, piece in the playbook that needs to be taken into account. So whether you're responsible for amplifying the social elements around meeting events and conferences, or it's other people, you'll need to partner with them to make sure that this content has a new focus and a new emphasis. The emphasis needs to be on text and keywords used within the posts so that they're discoverable on Google. Your content needs to be optimized with clear descriptions or descriptive captions and relevant hashtags, just as you would for a blog post or a web page. But again, this commingles now in the Google ecosystem. The power of public reels. So the update is really impactful for video content. And obviously a lot of events have video taken. So this is great, whether you've taken it yourself or it's through a professional supplier. It's important to actually have access to that content. But public reels that are highly engaging and shareable, they'll now be able to be discovered within Google. And once they're discovered, this drives traffic to either the BEIA site or to your own website. So what an example of this is, you're on site, there's an event bumping in, and what you do is you do a very generic post that says, bumping in a conference today, it's an empty function room, or it's in the process of being setting up with some like tables, chairs, video screens, etc. A little caption that says, ready for the big event today. Hope the attendees enjoy it. #events. Once the event's completed, whether that's on the day or days afterwards, you create a second post using some of the high quality photos of that room and perhaps creating a reel that says XYZ corporate gala for 250 guests. We offered state-of-the-art AV equipment, bespoke catering options, and stunning views for Auckland Unlimited, as an example. #Auckland events, conference venue, corporate gala. So these elements actually get sucked up by Google. They get put into the search results if someone's looking for conference venues, Auckland, for example, and they get to see some lovely, rich content. So pro tip for the day is, if you're having events run on site or you are running events, certainly ask permission if you've got clients running events. Secure from the client or ask permission for yourself to take high quality images and videos of these events, put them across your social media. But I challenge you to go back and look at your BEIA listing, and have you got recent images from recently run events on your listing? I'd say many people have got stock footage or event or imagery that's like 3-4 years old. It's important to you've got, you're so proud of the event that you've participated in or that you've run or you've had done on completed on site. Get that content and brag about it. If you don't brag
100%.
about it, no one's going to know about it. So
yeah,
again, it's another living, breathing thing, is actually bringing Instagram content into the Google and SEO world.
Love it.
Can I
I've
just
made a
ask
couple
a
of
quick question? Who
go
was
for it.
aware that Google and Instagram had now become frenemies? Many? No. Nikki, no? That's the only face I can see, so. Oh, Andy, we can't hear you. Ah, he went away. I'm guessing no.
All good.
Renee.
Cool. You've made a couple of comments and I've been scribbling some notes down as well, to circle back on. And one is to make sure that you're also adding in the BEIA hashtag
Yes.
onto any of your social content as well. A couple of reasons. Obviously, that helps when people are searching within the Google space and or Instagram. It also helps Nikki and Lorik and the team know what you're up to. So that they're able to support and have conversations and possibly reshare or so on and so forth. So it just helps. Again, it's about building that community, connecting, collaborating. So throwing that hashtag in there will definitely help. But from a content perspective, you'll notice some themes in what we're talking about. And with any of the content that we write and share from Tomahawk as well, is that it's got to be conversational. You have to think of having a conversation. From a social media perspective, we always talk about how it's a dinner party. And if you were to turn up to a dinner party and talk about yourself constantly, people will soon get bored and not want to talk to you anymore. So have conversation, engage with people, ask questions. It's a two-way street. So have some banter. I seen Shelley, you've just popped a question or a comment in here. I find it challenging to get conferences to agree to allow images of their people in them. Quite a process to get individual approval. That's really interesting. And I noticed that we've been invited to a conference recently, and more we're seeing that as part of the application process, by default, we're approving that photography is going to be taken of the event. And if I'm not comfortable with it, I have to just flag with the organizer and say, hey, look, I'm not comfortable with that. How they manage that, I'm not sure. So have a chat with them about whether they're going to be getting photography of their own event. And if they are, piggyback off that or ask if they can share the content with you. Understand that when you're pumping through a heap of conferences and events, asking everyone might feel a bit time consuming and overwhelming. You might handpick some. You might say, hey, we know that this one's going to be designed and set really lovely and we want to lean into this. Ask the question. All they can do is say no. And if they say no, move on and find the next one. But another great idea is when you're packing in, set up a time lapse, because that often will remove the people element. They might appear really quickly, but that's also engaging in some really great content. I'm kind of digressing into a different area, which I get excited about, but that's
Renee,
just one idea.
One thing, I mean, there's a couple of takeaways I see there. One is perhaps just putting something in your terms and conditions that you would like to take some photography and videography with their permission. That's one. The other one is Nikki, is this sort of like a topic or a thing that BEIA could help on as a bit of a brainstorm for members to kind of, have some verbiage, or sort of like, how do other people kind of overcome this challenge that Shelley has? And one last thing is, we talk about the copy in these posts being conversational. I'm sure everyone now has seen AI reviews in Google, and that they now actually appear at the top of all search. You will notice that these AI reviews are very sort of like lovely natural language. And what they've done is they've actually looked for optimized content, and they will prioritize that optimized content to appear in AI reviews. So whilst you're doing all your SEO work and you will appear either in sponsored or free listings further down the page, Google has gone out there and crawled the world and looked for really nice, lovely natural language pieces of text to put together with links. So it's important to remember that as you're putting any descriptor, but just remembering the real estate that you've got to work in, that Google can crawl it and profile it. And if it's more natural and conversational, that dinner party talk that Renee was talking about, you've got a better chance of actually getting into the AI reviews. And if you've got an SEO expert in your business, or you've got a partner that you work with, I know for us, it's a big focus, and we actually measure the success of our partners and how much visibility they're getting in AI overviews. So yeah, it can be measured, the success of that. But again, it's another one of these moving pieces within SEO that we're not just talking about Instagram, it flows to SEO, and that the jigsaw puzzle just gets bigger to solve. Renee.
100%, 100%. I'm going to make a suggestion here, and before I move on to the next one really quickly, look at other listings, and I'm going to say that with a caveat. That your listing and the other listings you look at within the BEIA website may be different, because obviously there are different levels. So what you see another operator having featured, you may not have access to. But as Grant mentioned at the start, reach out to Nikki and have a chat about what an upgrade might look like if you see those other ones have other features you'd like to see. And the reason it's worth looking at some of the others is I was at the office a couple of weeks ago and working with Nikki on some things, and we pulled up a listing, and straight away when I looked at it, I felt inspired. It just had so much energy and life, and I think I said to you, Nikki, I want to organize an event just so I can work with this person, because I felt that passion in the listing. And that's something to really keep in mind, is that the SEO is one part and it's going to bring the traffic to the site. But translating your passion, and you all do amazing stuff. Like Grant and I came to meetings a couple of months ago. I walked in and said, wow. I don't say that at many conferences when you walk, or events when you walk in. You guys do a kick-ass job. So make sure that translates into your digital environment, because often that's the first time someone's going to engage with your brand. And if they're inspired by looking at your listing on the BEIA website, they're going to click through to your website, or they're going to contact you. It starts with these listing sites so often. If it doesn't inspire you, as an event planner or as someone looking, they might not click through. So it is important to make sure that enthusiasm, that passion, pulls through.
You're right, Renee. I find a lot of the descriptions kind of a bit, to be honest, bland or vanilla. Like it reads like I'm looking at an RTO site of 10 years ago. So I think, and again, it all comes down to the real estate you've got to work with. So you can't necessarily copy and paste these descriptions across multiple outlets. You need to think about the real estate.
You're cutting my flow, Grant. I was
Sorry.
sticking on images. What are you doing?
Well, it comes down to, your written content, and then the inspiration is also driven through imagery and video. So it's a whole package there. That's a whole
100%.
package.
Yeah. So whilst talking about imagery, the team know that I love Pinterest. I'm obsessed with this tool, have been obsessed with this tool for a very long time. And a lot of people will say to us, oh, but it's just arts and crafts. It is not arts and crafts. It is wedding planning. It is holiday planning. It is event planning. It is arts and crafts. But you in the business events industry are primed for Pinterest. And so many people do not take advantage of this platform, and should be taking advantage of this platform. For many years that predate Meta and Google, this friendship that Grant was talking about, Pinterest have had an SEO powerhouse team. They've got a whole floor dedicated to SEO within their environment, back at HQ. I mean, I would love to explore that team. But it's got a very unique take on this whole landscape, because it's classified as evergreen content, or an evergreen tool, for driving long-term, high-quality referral traffic. It very much sits and continues to work hard for you, unlike Facebook or Twitter or X, or Instagram, by where the content churns so fast. We're all been guilty of jumping onto the social platforms and doom scrolling, but the volume of content within Instagram and Facebook is so high, and it's gone really quickly, and it's not as sticky as Pinterest. So it does drive traffic for years or even months, months or even years after it's been created. And from an SEO perspective, there are some hacks, and I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But Pinterest users are planners. They will plan, and often they come with a higher propensity to spend, because they're really organized, they understand value, and they want to spend money. There's some hacks around, like I said, hacks around using Pinterest. The keywords that you add into the description is equally as important. So we talked about the keywords within your BEIA listing. We talked about the keywords within the alt text that you're using. Now with Instagram, Pinterest is no different. So making sure that you've got really keyword-rich descriptions that support that content. And of course, the point that we talked about earlier around where you're sending that traffic, please don't send it to your homepage. If you're going to put a pin that talks about XYZ conference that you've written maybe a beautiful case study on, take the user straight to that case study. The great thing is you can also do amazing A/B testing within Pinterest. You can have multiple images that drive traffic to the same landing page. You can have the same image driving traffic to multiple landing pages. You can have a lot of fun with it. My one little tip is that there is no point in adding more than 5 pins a day. It's almost like it runs out of Pinterest power after 5. So if you're going to do a bit of a strategy around Pinterest, make sure that you stage it out and not sit down and smash out a whole heap in one go. You might plan a whole heap in one go, but then go back and pin them on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. We've talked a little bit about backlinks and Google Juice. So a backlink is effectively, I don't think we went into this detail earlier, Grant, but a backlink is effectively a link on a third-party website, e.g. BEIA, e.g. Pinterest, that does link back to your website. In Google Analytics, you'd find this as referral traffic. And it's worth checking your referral traffic on a regular basis to see where you are getting traffic to your website from and whether you can enhance or increase your partnership with them. Let me just check my notes to make sure I've covered everything on Pinterest. No, it's just amazing. I just love it. It's such a great tool. And this is our first. I love it so much, so much so that it's my first little shameless plug for the webinar. And that is that we have got an e-guide on how to pin down Pinterest. And you can scan the QR code. Nikki Lorick, you are very welcome to share the link in any follow-up comms as well. Pop your details in and you can download our pin down Pinterest e-guide. And of course, if you want to chat about Pinterest, get in touch. And our last tip for today, or our last area for today, I'm going to hand back over to Grant to talk about Google Business Profile, but I am just going to really quickly mention, sorry, Grant, it used to be called Google My Business, still often called Google My Business. Technically, it's called Google Business Profile. They went through a rebrand, but one and the same if you're questioning what it is we're talking about.
Thank you.
Go for it.
I still refer to it as GMB. GPB it just doesn't flow as well off the tongue.
No.
But I would say 99, if not 100% of you actually have the Google Business Profile out there in the Google ecosystem. Think of it as another digital, I wouldn't say front door, maybe it's the side door or the back door, but it's a digital door into your business. Having an optimized Google Business Profile is really important to actually your local SEO rankings. It's obviously got phone numbers, addresses. You can actually have a lot more information under there, like operating hours, key contacts, a website link. So we talk about backlinks, a website link there. It also has Q&As as well, where actually you can go and actually put some questions out there, and people do put questions. So ensure that you look at it and provide some answers. So it's a little dynamic snapshot of your business without people actually getting to your homepage or your website landing page. People interact with it a lot. We see a lot of people come in through Google My Business listings, especially for hotels. because they might know the brand name. They might not click on the actual brand name sponsored listing, but they might click on the Google profile. You can also put some little alerts up there if businesses are temporarily closed. You might have had like a climate change event or something like that, so you can put notifications up there. So it's quite a helpful tool for people, but it's very helpful for SEO. And actually Google, as part of their ecosystem, will actually give you a rank to the completeness of your Google business profile. It's not a set and forget tool. It's another one of these things you need to go back and look at. The listing may or may not be within your domain of responsibility. So find out who actually owns the access to the tool. That's really important. A lot of people, I find, actually don't know who has had the access, or that person has left. And then trying to get access back from Google is, tell me, it's a chore and a half.
I just made that note. Make sure someone in your team is the owner of your Google business profile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, we've had to do a lot of, luckily we can help and facilitate our clients if they do have challenges, because people have left the business, but it's really important to have that access noted down and saved somewhere. The other thing is, I do notice that a lot of the generic descriptions that are there, especially again, if you're a hotelier that has conference facilities, there is no description or mention about meeting and event space there on the listing. Nothing. Go back and have a look at it and say, you want your share of the pie. Go and fight for your share of that traffic. And something to consider, if you're a standalone event space, you've obviously got your Google business profile, but if you've got a very large event space that's attached to a hotel or something else, you may want to have a discussion with your stakeholders. Do you need a separate listing? So do you actually need a separate listing because you've got two pieces to your business? One may be hotel, one may be meetings and events, and they're run very separately, but at the same time, they're run together. You may actually want to consider and have a look that you have a separate listing for that space. So question to end this up. The Google business profile has the ability for reviews, and a lot of people actually interact with these reviews on the site. You don't necessarily think about, oh, I'm in a planner and I'm going to go and click on that listing for their review to see if there's actually people who've talked about events. So I know many people say they'll send out a post-event survey, like how were our facilities? What was the catering like? Was the lighting fantastic? Was the AV really good, etc.? I would like to suggest to actually, and again, Google gives you a better score in your listing if you've got more reviews and the reviews are recent. I would like to suggest to everyone that you send a simple email with a link to your Google business profile. Please leave us a review. In addition to, if you do surveys about how the event was run and etc., is there room for improvement, just send a very simple email that says, we would love to hear your feedback. Could you please review us on Google? And again, this is getting reviews is another piece of the juice that goes into the SEO ecosystem. And it's the number of reviews and the recency of the reviews, which is, if you're a hotelier, very similar to how TripAdvisor does some of its rankings as well. But something to consider there. And again, another thing that may or may not sit within your ecosystem or areas of responsibility, but it needs to be taken into account because this is another piece of SEO juice.
Definitely. Just going to add really quickly a couple of things. Grant, you touched on the Q&A section within Google Business Profile, making sure that that content is also being added to your own website is equally as important. Have you guys heard of AI? I think it's this new thing that's coming out. I mean, it's flippant everywhere and everyone is talking about it, but AI obviously is being more commonly used. And one of the things we get asked all the time is how can we make sure that our website is ready for AI? Q&A or FAQs on your website are a #1 hack. Again, it comes back to that conversational piece. Question asked, question answered, question asked, question answered. So if you're seeing content added into the Google business profile, replicate it on your website. Keep in mind that anyone who asks a question on Google Business Profile, anyone can answer it. So if you don't get in quick enough to answer it, the public will. And if they answer it incorrectly and you're neglecting to go in and say, actually, the menu's changed, or we've updated our opening hours, or so on and so forth, the person who was asking that original question isn't necessarily going to get the right information. So that's something to keep in mind within that Google Business Profile piece. Just on the Q&A on your website, I'm taking a slight scenic route and I am watching time. But if you have a chatbot on your website, and if it is AI-led or not, again, questions that people are asking through the website chat should also be pulled into your website. And think of those questions when you're also writing the descriptions on your BEIA website, because if people are asking these questions time and time and time again, put it front and center. Make sure that that question isn't something that someone needs to ask. Put it in there so that you're, again, answering the information, inspiring kind of social proof in the fact that this person knows what they're talking about. I didn't even know I had this question, and they've answered it. So that's where those Q&As kind of weave in and out of other areas, and you can take inspiration from other areas to support different parts of your digital platform.
Actually, Renee, on the Q&A thing, I see a lot of sites that the Q&A was written 2, 3, 5 years ago and hadn't been touched in a very, very long time. I would suggest, again, a 6-monthly or a 12-monthly review of your Q&A or your FAQs that sit out there. I know within the chatbot realm that a lot of them actually, if questions can't be answered, the chatbot asks you to train it and what the correct answer is. So it's really important to go back and, again, the chatbot might not sit within your areas of responsibility, but knowing who that is and them having the right answer for that is really important. But yeah, you need to align those questions and answers across the various platforms. And also, if they're written correctly, they pop up in AI overviews.
100%. 100%. I'm going to really quickly scoot back to shameless plug number 2. And this is that we have a Google Business Profile, or how to optimize your Google Business Profile ebook. Again, happy to share the link. QR code will take you there. So feel free to download. And of course, if you want to chat, let me know. We were going to do a raise of hand, conscious of time, but Grant's kind of drilled in the fact that making sure that you are using and generating reviews on this platform is really important. Quick last shameless plug number 3 is that we also have an SEO guide. Given that this is the topic that we are talking to you about today, it would be rude to have not shared this one with you. We've got obviously a number of resources that you can access or comp. And as always, I love catching up and chatting about all of this stuff. So feel free to reach out and let me know when you're available and we can talk. But that hopefully gives us a sneaky 10 minutes for Q&A if there are any. I've got a little space filler if we need it, Nikki, but otherwise, yeah, fire some questions through. Ask while we're here, and we'll go from there. Whilst people might be typing, I'll share my little space filler. Going back to the access piece, again, through COVID, this was really apparent because lots of people were moving around different roles. We were working with a lot of operators of completely different sizes, small, medium, large. And one of the biggest hurdles that we were coming up against time and time again was access to tools, access to Meta, access to Google, be it analytics, Google Business Profile, Google My Business, Google Tag Manager, all of the fun things. And some of them were under a personal email, some of them were under an info @ some of them were under some personal email, not even a business email. So one thing that we always suggest is create a generic email address, be it marketing @ or Google @ or tools @ and have everything connected to that one email address as the super admin. You can then add other people in as users, but having that one profile as your super admin across all things is such a time saver. It also means that if you were to sell the business, or you were to move on, you're not attached to it. And so it's a really nice way to just bundle it up, pass it over to someone else and say, hey, this is yours now. Be it changing roles, be it selling, it's just a great asset cleanup to do. So that's my one little space filler tip in terms of digital tools, because it comes up time and time again.
Great tip, Renee. I mean, I've just recently been through a change of managers at a motel as part of a chain, and the hoops we have, the Meta, in this case,
Meta,
Facebook,
let's not talk about Meta.
make you jump through. So it's
Yeah.
really important. I think all of these platforms that you have, you know, think of an exercise to have the generic login, because people move on and it creates so many issues.
100%. Yeah.
Nikki,
Otherwise,
you're going to be
that is it,
sharing
Nikki.
this obviously afterwards, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see any other hands up there. So just before we wrap up, I did just want to quickly share with you all a few metrics that are coming out of our website analytics. And I think it's really encouraging and very exciting news. Looks like we are getting between 3,500 users on our website each month at the moment. And we have an engagement rate of over 88%, which is incredibly good. It's very encouraging. And what's really encouraging within that engagement rate is people are engaging with our site for over, I think it's exactly 1.46 minutes. So they're on the site for a good amount of time and they're actually delving into things. So on that note, that's why we really want to encourage you, review your website listing with us, have a look at it. If it's not quite cutting it, chat to me and see what we can do. If you want to add imagery, if you want to add video, if you want to put offers up, there are things we can do to help you do that. But even if you're just sitting on that entry-level be listed option, make sure it has that grabbing content in there so that you know, you will be looked at and viewed and get some hits. So on that note, thank you so much, Renee and Grant. Some fabulous tips there, both for website listings with us, but also for your own websites, I hope, as well. Any questions you want to come to us separately on, please feel free to reach out at any time. And thank you for the shameless plugs, Renee, always very useful. And I'm sure people will take advantage of that. But yeah, thanks again for your time, guys. And we shall all catch up soon.
Thanks, Nikki.
Ka kite.
Thank you.